they do it.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun Diary Mayegun number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀.
Yeah, good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun Diary Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun Diary.
So you can take a moment to read the caption of the broadcast. At the same time, the description as well. It's going to be in parts as usual, okay? But before we get into that, I've got an announcement to make. Yeah, because I may forget, and I always feel bad that, putting the announcement at the last part of the conversation usually makes it not, but yeah, share the broadcast.
Godfatherism, kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun Diary, Mayegun number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ ṣe o kẹ́gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun number one. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun number one. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé.
Thank you very much.
Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé.
The caption for the broadcast is about the poll, their own electoral charade poll. But this conversation tonight is not about the poll. It is about something else that you probably should be paying attention to as well, especially those of us who see this as a pure revalidation of the contraptions, enslavement and all that. Apart from that, we see the process from the world go to what it is right now as a pure charade that is not going to produce anything other than chaos. Or if you are watching me tonight, or whatever time you are watching this conversation is not about the poll. It is about what the poll is not telling you. Now, you probably will be interested. Share the broadcast.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Prẹ̀sìdó bá rú sí o. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Gómìnà gbówó jẹ. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
The poll says that Peter Obi will beat Tinubu, Atiku, Kwakwanso, and every one of them all combined if your 2023 election is held today. How did they arrive at that? I'll share with you. Then I'm going to use the same data to tell you something else. Something that, like I said, might sound like nonsense, but it is not nonsense. If you hold it very well, you'll probably not be one of those that will be shocked with what 2023 has in stock for Nigeria and Nigeria politicians. Generally, the entire establishment. Now, it is going to be a two-way thing, and that's why you should probably pay attention tonight. Also, I am going to take us through a few other conversations as well, all right? But like I said, let us start with the announcement before we forget about the important thing, which is so important, if you ask me, especially to those of us who are committed into doing the work When I say doing the work, I'm talking about not just talking the talk, but at the same time, walking the talk. I mean, the talk. So, few weeks ago, let's say about 2 weeks ago, we concluded that we would be reaching out to the people of Yoruba land in this Yuletide season. And with the announcement, people responded with your response. Of course, we are now so sure that we are doing it. So that's our first announcement. And what is the update on that? Now, after all this while that we have been trying to pull our resources here and there, you donors, supporters, the Afediferes, the Yoruba Union, Ìgbìmọ̀ Má Jẹ́ Kó Bàjẹ́ Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, the one that we have flagged off on Mayegun's diary political a few months back. However, we were able to pull over 1.7 million naira Nigeria money in a space of 3 weeks, with so many days missed that we never even spoke about it at all. Nevertheless, I did say that whatever we raise, I will be adding 1 million naira to it. Remember, this is not my money. It's our money. Just from the same piggy bank, we have kept all we have raised on different occasions on Mayegun's diary political. So we still have about 1.4 million. If you remember, before these additions were added. However, I said, from that piggy bank, right, I would add 1 million naira to whatever we raised. So, having raised 1.8 million naira in total, as well as plus 1 million naira we are adding to it, simply means that we have 2.7 million naira to start, 2.8 million naira to start with. Of course, we have reservoir, something that some of you should have been so used to now that we don't always want to spend everything. But in this case, we might end up spending everything. However, today, with the help of others who have done their best behind the scene, I am just the intermediary who just make sure that whatever we say we're going to do, we do them, right? So I have completed the the transfer of the full amount, 2.7 million naira, is now in the kitty of our organizers in Nigeria. But I suspect that that won't be enough at some point. So we will talk more about that. But just so you know that every penny we raised plus the one we had, we have now made a transfer of 2.7 million naira to the organizer. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who made that happen. And to everybody who still probably want to help. I'll tell you, we believe that we are going to be running on deficit. Deficit in the sense that when they delivered our supplies, spags and rice and all that, we have discovered some unexpected, foul play. We expected 5 kg per bag, but our supplier, sadly, supplied us something that is far less. The typical Nigerian thing, I believe, no supervision and all that. But like I've told people, we are ready to make mistakes. In everything we want to do, our sincerity, our open-mindedness, and then our positivity are always, right, going to work in our favor. But we are willing and, we are happy to make mistakes. In fact, every one of us should be, not afraid. You should never be afraid to make mistakes, because what they say about mistake is that it is an acknowledgement of you at least trying to do something. So yeah, that's where we are on that. There is also this ongoing rumor which has to do with the Yoruba nation advocacy. It's about Professor Banji Akintoye's news that is standing aside from the media. Okay, let's put it this way. The media reported, right? Today, that Professor Banji Akintoye has now resigned from the Yoruba Nation struggle and all that. However, that is not the real picture, okay? On the 5th of this month, we're doing some series on what's going on within the Yoruba Nation advocacy, as well as some of the people that are complicating things, right? And just part of what I have access to at the time, so is that Baba Akintoye already, right, requested, that's like over a month ago, requested that he was going to be stepping aside as the leader of Ilano, Ilano as a group, right, advocating for Yoruba Nation. So I'm going to be stepping aside, right, as the leader of Ilano. Then his own deputy, Baba Adeniran, will take over, okay? In fact, he was told to hang on. From what I heard back then, truly, he was told to hang on. However, on the 5th of December, he finally put a pen to paper to explain why he's leaving and all of that. His age, his health, a very old man. And you know what that is, right? Honorably stepping aside from the leadership role every day today and all that. So he did actually, he did send out a letter, right? A letter that detailed why he is stepping aside. He is not, from my own understanding, he is not resigning from the Yoruba Nation advocacy, which means that, he is still very much involved, but not involved in the decision making day to day, running of Ilano. And for your information, okay, there are many, many other groups who are also like working interested in the emergence of the Yoruba sovereign nation, by the way. All these are meant to be made public anyway, but with the level of, that's going on behind the scene. But we'll get to that part. I just thought you should know that whatever news you have heard out there, this is the real one. This is exactly the situation of things. But we'll come back to that some other days. Okay. Now let's go to today's conversation. One thing, let's start with this. The poll, all right, the poll that says Peter Obi is going to defeat Tinubu and Atiku and every one of them is not the pollster, the people who actually conducted the poll, right? They are not new to the Nigeria political space. Are you with me? They are called the ANAP and NOI, right? In 2011, they did something. And you remember, it was after the death of Yaradua. And Jonathan was told not to run. However, within a space of 10 months, he was able to become the darling of so many people, the same darling that eventually lost that darlingship 4 years after that. Anyway, this ANAP, they conducted a poll then, okay? And it was between Jonathan and Bukwari. They projected Jonathan that was going to be the winner, right? Indeed, he won. In 2015, these guys came again. This time around, it was Jonathan versus Bukwari. Now, for the first time, a lot of people questioned the validity or the authenticity of the poster as unreliable as data. Data is in Nigeria, but somehow they put this stunt at the early stage. They said that Bukwari would win. And indeed, he won. Now, in 2019, when Bukwari's failing APC, Egbekegbe's government, were planning to rig, as they indeed rigged, but when they sampled the opinion of people at the time, these same pollsters, it was then between Buhari and Atiku. Now, Buhari and Atiku, when they did this, in fact, this was more rejected by the people. Like, how dare you? How could you even like believe this? For those who are not too, too deep in the Stockholm syndrome, that Nigerians are always suffering from, you will remember that Buhari's government in 2019, right, was so abysmal, so unwelcome, but for the most part, where Buhari needed his usual vote, it was not denied them. And afterward, Buhari won. So the difference today is this. For the first time, even you and me, when we want to really be typical Nigerians, we will remember what we are used to. It has always been 2 horse race, 2 CMS twins. No difference between them. You couldn't even differentiate who is who between them anyway. But yet, they continue to maul everybody into just a single lane, the establishment lane. So for the first time, they really, really, really get to the national consciousness, as we agree, the Nigerian politicians are not so sure of what is going to happen in 2023. You know, the usual thing is this, okay? It's a business. And for those who have participated or observed the Nigeria elections in the last 20 years, you will realize that they are not always campaigning for election, but they are mostly looking for allies who are going to be promised one thing or the other, because everybody is looking for something. And the more of those who trust what you offer them, the more you get to know if you are scaling through that political battle at the time of that time. Now, what do I mean by that? For those of us who have given up on the entire system and the entire process because of what we know and what we see all the time, right? We did simply because we know that no matter what you do, they will tell you to go through the right channel. You know, that's what they say. Go through the right channel. If you are not happy with what we are doing, go through the right. And the right channel is the channel they built, the corrupt, rigged channel. So a lot of us believe that it's a waste of time, waste of resources, waste of everything to try to want to engage them, unseat them, and change the system to favor those who are like should be the majority, the people. You realize that you cannot win against the house. You cannot win against a system that you are using its own rules to engage them in a fight. So we stayed back and we said, let the right thing be done, which is let's break it up. But they have the control. So we stayed away. So for the first time, they have a reason to be worried. And this reason to be worried started from October 2020. You see that what happened in 2020? It is the sign of what is still to come. And I'll tell you this for free. What you are experiencing what you are facing as a people between now and that 2023, is so huge that the politicians in Nigeria always have their plan B when they are going into a battle like this. And for the first time, they couldn't even make up any plan, talk less of a A or B. So majority of them are actually going into this as the last fight of the establishment. So who wins between that? There will always be chaos. And here is the explanation. They just did a poll that did not pinpoint the two major oligarch parties in Nigeria. Now, listen to this. So, you might have your reservation about Obi and others, but do not pretend that you don't know the real and true forces, the real energy behind everything they are doing. And the only gamble the establishment have right now is to do what they do best. But like I said, for the first time, they have no idea what is likely to happen. And a poll like this is to check the pulse of Nigeria, that these guys actually believe that they own. Now, a lot of people want Nigeria to break and say, let's go our separate ways. But you know something? Like some people said, Nigeria is not going to go down without a fight. And when we say that, we are talking about the owners of Nigeria are not going to go down without a fight. So if for the first time, the pollster who told you or who polled in 2011, 2015, and 2019, with all of the irregularity associated with all of their polls, they still came out, right? They came out right. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that somehow, as the establishment is working around on how to tame those they call the obedient, there are also silent majority, right, that are likely going to pull a surprise that will eventually surprise the establishment. They will overreact or react wrongly, and then that will spark up, ignite what will likely unite those who have been waiting for a day to end this madness once and for all. Now, let's take them in parts. Obi has no structure. That's what they have been saying. And in fact, if we have to really rate them based on what we know and from the experience that we have had about the Nigerians who have always loved their own oppressors for different reasons, by the way, you will say, I mean, Obi has no structure. When you talk about the monetary inducement, when you talk about the control, when you talk about the power of incumbency and every other thing, of course, he is of no match to these guys. But there is something that I want you to know. Whatever you see Tinubu and Atiku, whatever you see them do. Now, maybe I should quickly say this before we even get deeper into this for you to understand this better, okay? I am speaking from the position of somebody who doesn't have any singular faith or belief in the Nigerian system, which I have explained many times, that if you want to know why the system is what it is, pay attention to the process. And I'm glad a lot of people who have been paying attention to the process can conclude what the end goal will be. Also, there are also those who are building their fantasies around what is happening. We call those that I usually call those people the weathermen and weather women. If it is cold now, they will react to that cold. If it's warm now, they will react to the warmness. If it is breezy, they are like weather people. They are inconsistent. They are more or less like reactionaries and all that. So somebody like me speaking from this angle, and then you would likely ask, what then is your interest? I'll tell you. There is something called system, and like Nigerian system represents, there are many of us here, millions. Okay, let me use figure here. From all of their charade, buying votes, rigging, and the rest of that, in 2015, between Jonathan and then Bokwari, they could only poll or pool, what do you call it? About 24, 25 million, all of the votes for that election. Nigeria population at the time was about 198 million people. In 2019, between Atiku and Bokwari and the rest of all other polls, all of the polls put together, for them in 2019 was less than 30 million. I think it was 28 point something million. Nigeria population at the time was over 200 million to start with in our projection. But here is what you should know. For those who wanted APC, Egbekegbe, in 2015, and for those who didn't want them, put all of them together. Sorry, for those who actually showed that, right? And then the consequences of that decision of less than 14 million people, even if they are fake, original, bought, rigged, whatever, the consequences of that choice of 2015 is not limited to those 14 million people. A lot of people have died from that decision. A lot have lost everything. Lost their job, lost their savings, lost their investment, lost their businesses, lost their relationship, lost their marriages. Some have lost their health. Some people renewed that in 2019. So what does that mean? It simply means that as long as Nigeria is still Nigeria, whether you are in or out, whether you are in support of them or not, you should have interest. In fact, because of what I'm going to tell you next is the reason why you should have interest, because the consequences of whatever they do is not limited to them. Do you know that? There are so many, there are people who left where they are based, where they are safe. Oh, I'm very safe in America. I'm very safe here and there. But they traveled back to Nigeria and they never returned back to where they came from. Yeah. And that is the consequences of the decision of 14 million people. Now, if you are in my own position, somebody who have seen through the process that continue to produce this crop of criminals who are holding sensitive position in government, positions that decisions they make are not, the consequences of the decision they make are not limited into the four corners of the rooms where they are making those decisions, where millions of lives, where the lives of millions of people are at stake. So if we cannot influence them in changing the trajectory, I'm sorry about the blinking, okay? Let me do something about that. I'll come back to this, okay? Don't go anywhere. It's a terrible thing with my new camera. Once the battery starts going lower, what do you call it? The lenses will start flickering. Sorry about that.
Bó bá ṣe àní máyégún máa wí. Máyégún dáyàrí náírà lọ́wọ́. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Máyégún dáyàrí náírà lọ́wọ́. Máyégún dáyàrí pòlítíkò. Máyégún dáyàrí náírà lọ́wọ́. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ máyégún. Máyégún dáyàrí náírà lọ́wọ́. Ẹ fara balẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Àní máyégún làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Àní ẹ̀sùn rà kì í. Máyégún ti dé.
Sorry about that. Okay. So if we don't have the full power, right, to influence changing the trajectory that affects all of us, if we can't make them do it or change it, we can at least remind them of the consequences of their choices and decisions, where we ensure or always make sure that if you are one of those who typically blame devil or who usually call on God to come and rescue you after choosing criminals and defending them, believing that they are going to turn good and do good to you, it is ideal that Temple of Truth, Mayegun's Diary Political, is somewhere you will know that as much as you have a right to make your choices, at the same time, you must also be responsible enough, right, to be held responsible for the consequences. You must be responsible for the consequences too. So this is me, who has no interest, because I know what the end goal is going to be if it goes either way. But again, I am also free to try to remind you that if it should go this way, there could be something that's going to happen. If it should go that way, something is going to happen. That's why I said it might sound like nonsense, but would you mind listening and just think about this? Their poll is no longer choosing APC, PDP. That is the first shocker. In September, usually, there are those from the Tinubu's camp who have played the tribal card, the religious card, the ethnic card against the obedient. All of these are evident out there. Social media, don't forget. Internet, don't forget. They said Obi, if they see you with Obi, then you must be Igbo or a Yoruba bastard. So it was that much card that they played well that some people now said, listen, Northern Nigeria, let's be honest, they will never, ever, ever touch Obi. But when they say Northern Nigeria, this Muslim ticket, which APC, Egbekegbe, is pushing, has has brewed another set of angry Nigerians that you can call the silent majority. Now, what you can say today about their poll is this. There are silent majority. They may not have polled millions of them. Okay? But this is the point. There are silent majority that are likely waiting when the chance presents itself to crush and crash this system as well, in a way. But like we said, that the system is never going to go down without a fight. But now let's take a look. What are now kind of making everybody sort of, not everybody, I'm talking about those who have chosen their own side, especially PDP and APC. Also, on Mayegun's Diary Political, when people like us said we are no longer interested in any of your charade, right, that we will wait for the system to self-destruct, right, when the obedience started, we said, now we have found the people that we are going to use, okay, to torment you, so that it won't be like, why don't you go and register, go and start a party and the rest. So some of us are never going to be part of it. Now we have found those who can also help keep your blood pressure above normal before you finally get that power drunk in 2023 and get pushed enough to conduct that your charade, and then the aftermath is exactly where I'm going. Now, their poll conducted, number one, because Obi and disobedient, INEC, their website crashed when people started registering that they want to vote. Don't forget that too. The surge in the people who want to, and the people who actually have registered before and they wanted to get their voters card as well. The surge in that after Obi was part of waiting shock the system itself. And as usual, the same system that said they want to do beavers, there's something they call beavers. Some of this is what some of you are relying on. They cannot rig it, Mayegun. You don't understand. High right. Anyway, as you are confident, the establishment is worried, right? And they are already in court to stop that. No, you cannot use the beavers. It's not going to work everywhere. It's not this or that. Now they have conducted a poll, and this poll is speaking. In September, they said Obi will beat all of them. In October, they said Obi will beat all of them. Now, in December, they said Obi will beat all of them. Now, what does that tell you from experience? From experience, so with me, I know. Are you with me? And with what we are already seeing and witnessing, Tinubu is seeing himself as somebody who is just waiting for his coronation day. Maybe they just can't inaugurate him. And when you are in that state, and things are probably not as it's planned, and you keep checking and realize that the things are not as they plan, then you become desperate, right? Now, that your normal thing that you will do codedly, all the rigging and everything that they will do codedly. Now, there is a possibility now that they will be pushed to do them publicly. And when they do them publicly, there is also possibility that people are going to react. Now, two reactions. One, if Tinubu is declared the winner, the obedient and the silent majority, right? They are expected to react. Depend on what style of winning they declared for Tinubu. If Obi is declared, which is going to be the shock and the shockest of the century, now him be say at that time, all of you with the stockpile food, stockpiling food for election, and in case of wahala, you should be 100% ready for a serious upheaval in some part of Nigeria, based on what we have on ground in you, as well as the past record, and I will give you instances, and you can tell me I am wrong. The ANAP came out and they said Peter Obi will beat Atiku, Tinubu, Kwakwanso if they do your election today. In the part of the north, the likes of APC, Egbekegbe, they are using religion to threaten people. They are using religion to coerce people. And I'm not saying this because, like I said, me, I am just here to witness the face-off before, during, and after. In fact, especially after. Now, these are the small ingredients that I want you to put at the back of your mind as events unfold. They are not insignificant to share you get. That's why I gave you the history of the people who released this poll. Are you with me? And the danger of what this means. Tinubu, Atiku, and others who do things like normally recruit people, pay them, hire this, hire that. They have money for lawyers and the rest. They have all that stuff. They do things like normal. Obedient, who have no structure, who have nothing that you could probably relate with in the typical Nigerian setting. For the third time in 4 months, their poll says they will beat them. Now, look at this. It's leading them by 10% as of December. Now, so now they would have to go and find out, for example, in North Central. Look at North Central, where you have the likes of Benue, where you have Kaduna, where you have Taraba, where you have Kwara, I believe, where you have all these states that are mostly like a middle belt joint central. They are majorly Christians and Muslims as well. Now, Obi is leading Tinubu there by 15%. Now, you see, it may sound like joke because that's what Tinubu said. Tinubu said this is just a pure joke. Like, all of them are just wasting your time. And that's exactly what they said on every of the poll in the past. And I am taking this one serious because it's not about to be actually winning. It is what is winning or is projected winning is going to trigger based on the past experience, okay? North Central are going for him. Northeast, you see, that Northeast is where Shetima is coming from. Borono, sure you get. So somehow they are going for Atiku and Tinubu there. Okay, Obi and his obedient are not making headway there. In the Northwest, Obi is not making much headway, but 11% outside his home base. Tinubu is Yoruba, Obi is Igbo, Atiku is Fulani, Kwakwanso is Hausa. Now, their regions, Obi is from southeast, Tinubu is from southwest, Atiku is from northwest, I believe. Is it northwest? And Rabi Kwakwanso is from north central, is it? Or northeast? I don't know. Anyway, from Kano, Atiku is from Adamawa. Now, when you look at these charts, yeah, it says that Obi will get his 50% in Igbo land. And Tinubu will get just about 1%. Atiku will get just 1%. It's like they are like not touching them at all. But look at the south. Obi is going to be like almost 50% there too, right? Even though these are the areas controlled by PDP and APC, I think. Yeah? But look at southwest. You have lot of obedience there too, Abi. But it is Tinubu's zone. So Obi is still going to presently, he is pulling about 15% there. While Tinubu is just hanging around 22-23% his own zone. And you know the truth, oh. It is actually what it is out there, right? So Kwakwanso is on, you know what I mean. Now, take a look at this one, the way they broke them down, okay? They said, for example, in South, in September, Obi was about 50%. In October, it's still 50%. That is in South. Tinubu has gained more from what he had in September. Atiku have lost more from what he had in September. And Kwakwanso and the rest of them. You see that? Now, here is another one. Southwest, where Tinubu is expected to like have a freeway and all that. Abi? Okay, they say Atiku is from northeast too. So northeast, okay? So in Southwest, Obi was doing a little bit over 10% in September. Now, in December, is now doing over 18%, right? Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you, I'll still tell you, because you see, some of you are seeing voters, Abi, or more. Me, I am seeing the future revolution as it is already spreading. And when they say silent majority, in this case, I want you to pay attention to the numbers now. Not the number to make Obi president, but the number of those who are going to be interested. If they get rigged, if this establishment get frustrated before February, and they are unable to send them away, they are unable to push them out, and Obi is still in their midst that way. Now, they will want to find out where these numbers are. They want to know. Now, to me, let me tell you again, for me, Mayegun General, you are seeing voters, Abi, Obi voters, Abi, no voters, Abi. Well, that's it. Me, I'm not seeing voters. I am seeing the brewing dissidents who are going to react once the establishment do what they do best, muzzle them, rig them, bribe them, do all of that. And they are going to be interested in seeing how Obi is going to be rigged out. In this case, you can wait for their reaction, okay? Now, let's go to another part. Look at this number. This is North Central, okay? Obi was not doing much in, what do you call it? In September. In December, the number has grown higher in North Central, where you have all the Middle Belt zone and all of them, Abi. Now, Bola Tinubu's number is dwindling. He had more before, now he's dwindling in in December. Atiku own was much as well in September, but in December, it's gone down, right? Kwakwanso own, look at that. Now, go on again. Let's go to Northeast. This is Northeast, where the Boko Haram terrorism started from, and the terrorism industry in Nigeria have their headquarters, where billions and billions and billions of dollars borrowed and printed have been expended. But rather for the terrorism to abate, it has continued to grow in wings and bounds. Okay. Now let's take a look at the figure here too. Peter Obi had no much presence there. The obedient, call them obedient. They had no much presence there. But in December, the number has grown. Tinubu's number in September was higher, but it has dropped. Maybe not much, but it has dropped. Same with Atiku's number, which seems to be Atiku's a sort of a zone 2. Yeah. Now, the number has dropped. So, same with Kwakwanso. Now, when you look at that, it simply means, now, another thing I want you to see when you look at this graph, all right? Apart from you are not looking at voters. Obedient, I know you are looking at voters, okay? Like you are preparing for votes. You are preparing for an election, Abi. But you should also have it at the back of your mind that the establishment is not preparing for election. And they are not looking away in all of this. Now, as you are looking at those graphs, when the number drops for Tinubu and Atiku in that graph, what that simply means is that the sympathizers for the establishment, they are dropping too. Are you with me? They are dropping too. Okay? So, which means whatever is the outcome of their charade, the number of people that are going to probably protest for them or support them is also dwindling. You must have that at the back of your mind for those who actually know how to play with data very well, okay? Now, look at this one again. This is a Northwest, all right? Now, if you look at the graph, right, again, you will realize that Peter Obi had no much in September. 3 months after, his number has grown. His sympathizers have grown there, right? The people who said they would vote for him if they have to. Now, look at Tinubu's number. It remains what it was in September, now in December, okay? Now, a lot is going to happen between now and January as well, right? Now, he's maintaining his level there while Atiku is dropping. His supporters are dropping. So you could say, maybe as Tinubu and Atiku are dropping numbers, they are actually like those who are now joining the obedient as sympathizers, at least as of today, December, okay? So they say Tinubu will have about 22% from Southwest if election is conducted today. Are you with me? Now, talking about how they stand from where they all come from, all right? Now, if they do election today, Obi will get 50% from the Southeast, from the Igbo people. So 22% people in Yoruba land or less are actually supporting the Milokon as at today. Shall you get? Now, this number won't make any sense to those to their supporters in any way, but to me, and to some of us who have sort of a knowledge of what data could turn out to be, and based on the track record of these people. So Atiku from the Northeast will still have the backing, 23% backing of his own people if election is conducted today. And from these charts, now you have it. Okay? So this man who said he is going to be declaring who he is going to be mobilizing for is also coming on board soon. However, like I said, as you have seen that number, I want you to just close your eyes for a second and just imagine this number, these percentages, just see them as humans who are going to witness the robbery like never before. The same robbery that they are already used to, that they've never been interested in. Now, imagine when they all spring up here and there to say, we no go gree. I'm coming to that part. This person, who is the person who conducted the poll, actually he added there one or two things. I think you should listen to this. The credits for this video goes to Channels Television. Let me beg them. May they no report us, so education will they give now, Abi? Watch this.
You know, we talked about 4 zones where the candidates came from. We didn't mention the 2 zones that no candidate is from. And that's part of the big difference.
Yeah.
Because in those 2 zones, which is no candidate's home zone, the breakdown shows that in the South, Peter Obi is way ahead. And in the North Central, where in September, in the North Central, Peter Obi was at 16%, along with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In the North Central, Peter Obi has moved from 16% to 24%. Bola Tinubu has lost ground in the North Central. Again, people can have their theories that zone worries about religion and Muslim tickets. Those are all theories. The numbers just show that Peter Obi, for whatever reason, has moved ahead in the North Central. Now, in the same North Central, Atiku Abubakar is running 3rd. You follow me?
Yeah.
He's running 3rd, but just slightly below Bola Tinubu.
By just a percentage.
Yeah. So that's the North Central. And in the South, which is another zone which they are all not from, the 4 candidates. In the South, Peter Obi was at 46% in September, and he's still at the same exact 46%. In fact, no movement whatsoever. So he has not gained traction, he's not lost traction. Have the opponents gained traction? Some of them have. Bola Tinubu has moved from 2% in the South to 9%. Atiku Abubakar, our numbers show in the South, has lost some ground from 6% down to 3%. And Kwankwanso stayed at his 1%. Again, if you look at that result, you might say, why would Atiku Abubakar not do so well in the South? But actually, it's not.
I like the fact that some of you are already watching, especially those of you who are concerned, PDP, APC, and all that, Yoruba, Igbo, and then Northerners. Like I said, you are viewing this broadcast from your who is going to be who and who is going to be what. And therefore, this poll is nonsense. I agree with you, it's nonsense. But you know what? It is nonsense because all of you who have chosen your different sides, you are so cocksure, right, that you are going to pull this off, especially APC. But here is the shocker. What if you are unable to pull it off after all you have, all the control, a whole Tinubu? What if you are unable to now pull it off? What are you going to do? I'll tell you something. In 2011, when these same people, this pollster, when they did this poll, there were those who were like, it's impossible. Never. Northern Nigeria, where Buhari is, forget it. And remember, they just lost Yaradua, their own shot, and